Hello, people of the world and of the worldwide web. Today we're going to go over just to give an update on Travis Patron's case with the Crown, and I will leave the link to join in the chat. So today I will screen share here, read you what is going on, the update of his application of writ of habeas corpus. Alrighty, let's do this. Court rejects Travis Patron's bail review application. A Regina judge tossed out a habeas corpus application and bail review for Travis Patron, leader of the Canadian Nationalist Party. Court of Queen's Bench judge declined to overturn a provincial court judge's decision denying release of the leader of the of the political party. So this it's not whether he's guilty or not on any of the charges. It's just if he shall be released or not. So they denied him so a writ of habeas corpus is when the Crown must produce a justification beyond a reasonable doubt to justify someone's detainment. They denied even writing that application, even justifying themselves. And there's actually they give legal reasons why later on here. So Travis Patron, 30-year-old leader of the Canadian Nationalist Party, argued in his case before Justice Neil Robertson, claiming that his rights were being infringed by being held in custody. Patron asked for a bail review in his favor and made a habeas corpus application. Habeas corpus is an ancient remedy to protect a free people against arbitrary detention. Robertson wrote in his decision issued Tuesday, requires public authority holding the person in custody to bring the body before the court and justify their continued detention or imprisonment. Robinson found the reason for Patron's continued imprisonment is satisfactorily explained, meaning detention under the circumstances is lawful in his view. The judge explained the reason for detention is apparent, given the existence of criminal charges and bail hearing before Regina Provincial Court Judge Murray Hinds, which Patron lost. Patron faces a string of charges, among them 2 assaults causing bodily harm against women in Regina, a hate crime allegation relating to online posts, mischief, and break-and-enter springing from incidents involving the Redverse Legion, mischief and obstruction in relation to incident at the legislature. Oh, yeah, that's kind of frivolous. But anyway, Patron is contesting the charges. Having determined habeas corpus doesn't apply in his case, Robinson turned to the bail review application, which he felt was appropriate avenue to deal with the issue. Robinson pointed out a bail review is not meant to be a fresh hearing, but rather a venue for a higher court to determine if a lower court judge ruling was in error or inappropriate, or if new evidence has come to light amounting to change in circumstances of the case. Patron argued the accusations against him are arbitrary, that there are no grounds to hold him in custody, and that Hinds erred by finding the onus was on Patron to show why he should be released. Additionally, Patron argued, as noted by Robertson in the decision, that his actions were divinely inspired. And so this is him justifying that he has committed no wrong for the mischief and the break-in when he says his actions are divinely inspired. And that he was defending religious liberty at the Redverse Legion, which cannot be a crime. Meanwhile, the Crown argued Hinds' decision was correct and should not be overturned. Roberts Robinson found no reason to interfere with the provincial court judge's decision. The fact Patron faces breach charges is the reason the onus fell on him, the Court of Queen's Bench judge wrote. Robertson added that while Patron is correct that the Canadian Constitution and Charter recognizes the supremacy of God, it also recognizes the rule of law as a foundational principle and that no rights are absolute. Okay. In a civilized society, citizens have rights and duties that may come into conflict, so it must be balanced in a reasoned and respectful manner, he wrote. The judge added Hines was concerned about an escalating pattern to the charges. Robertson determined his decision did not amount to an error of the law and was and is appropriate. So, yeah. So basically, in hindsight, he was denied the application due to the amount of the escalating pattern of the charges right here. Oh, lots of thoughts on there. We got Clayton here. We got our expert panel. Clayton is going to come on here. Clayton, how are you today? The CMPX.
Good.
What are your view on these things here? And what are your thoughts? And where can we go from here?
Not much we can do. The court's denying us already.
Yeah. I understand that it just seems like our justice system is like a two-tier justice system, and that if you stand up for conservative values and recognize the supremacy of God, you'll be held up to like some sort of higher standard, which is fine, but it's not equally divvied up in our it's not equally applied to everybody. It is politically. I can't help but think it's politically motivated. But then again, he still needs to have his case because he hasn't been found guilty of any of the charges. This was just the justification for his detainment. So just because you're, like I always say, just because they can arrest you and detain you, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're guilty of any of the charges they accuse you of. They view it as like for the public good, I guess, whatever that means nowadays. But yeah, that's my thoughts on there. So I don't know, just very, very. I don't know. I'm very I don't know. I wouldn't say apathetic, but just very frustrated, I guess.
Yeah, I hear
things, with how things are going. Seems like you're just hitting a head up against the wall. So did you have any ideas that you wanted to share today at all? Or I know you wanted to share something. We could talk about something else. That's fine. I think we covered that.
I think Bitcoin's going to end up being over 200,000 here pretty soon. So it's a good time to get into it.
Okay.
And definitely. She's many dollars away from the Canadian dollar as possible.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, you're pretty much a slave at this point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you are literally a tax slave. And it doesn't really seem to really get people's attention. Yeah. Yeah. So Cancel Canada Day. What's your thoughts on Cancel Canada Day? Because that's a big topic.
That's a bunch of horseshit if I've ever heard it.
Well, I was asking people today, and I was asking him, why is there no Canadian flags being flown? He's like, oh, Canada's canceled. I like, so you're not Canadian anymore? Like, what country can you think of actually cancels a day that recognizes its founding? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you can't think of any, except for Canada, of course. It's just so stupid. It's just like only Canadian English people fall for this crap. You know what I mean? Like they're so gullible and they're so weak. I only have honestly I have contempt for them. I really do. I'll get it over that. Maybe God will help you get over that. But I just have so much contempt like running through my mind right now. Thank God I'm religious. Because I don't know. I'd probably I might be sitting next to Patron in jail right now if it wasn't for my religion. um, what's your religion? Or do you practice religion at all?
I'm agnostic.
Okay, that's cool. So do you believe in? Are you like? So you're not a monotheist? You could be like, or do you lean like monotheism, or do you believe in multiple gods, or
I'm
which way?
personally Christian, but I hold some skepticism.
Oh, okay. So what's your skepticism of Christianity?
Organized religion.
What about organized religion that you hate?
Um, Setting aside Sundays to go do something else. I guess I don't know. I just,
Okay, okay. So it's the Sunday mass holding. So is it like how the preacher preaches the word of God? Does he just do it like a monotone way where it's not very inspiring and it's just like just gives you talking points, doesn't necessarily, inspire you to.
I just go to church every day, but my girlfriend left me. I didn't want to go anymore.
Oh, okay. So your girlfriend was Christian and then you didn't want to go to church every day, so she left you?
No, she left me for a different reason.
Okay.
But we used to go to church every day, every week,
Yeah.
and she left me. I didn't feel like going by myself.
Oh, okay. I see. So you don't like Christianity because you had to go to church by yourself?
No, I like Christianity, but I don't know. Just skeptical of some of this stuff that's going on.
Okay. Are you skeptical of the Catholic priests and their
Yeah,
behavior with pedophilia? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Are you skeptical that you have to pray to like a statue, like a statute of Mary, or that you have to confess your sins to a priest?
Uh, our church doesn't really do that. What we do is sit there and we sing and we praise the Lord, and then we do a few verses in the Bible.
Okay.
Based on time.
Okay. Are you skeptical of the fact that they call Jesus God?
No.
Hmm. Okay. Why do you think Jesus is God?
Well, that's all I've been taught since I was young.
Okay. Have you ever questioned the concept um that a finite being can be um, begotten from an infinite being?
No, I haven't.
Interesting. So why would God? So God's an infinite being, right? He created the universe and he created the stars. He created the planets. Um, why would he begot something that is, you know, a finite, right? Why would he Why would that be his offspring? Did Jesus create the universe? Do you believe Jesus created the universe?
In a way, because he is God.
How has Jesus created the universe?
Before he was Jesus, he was God, right? So, and then he became Jesus, and then he went back to being God.
So how could Jesus be God when he was finite? Like when he was a person of the flesh? Isn't God eternal? How could God be something that's not eternal?
He, he rose to heaven, didn't he?
Well, doesn't everybody raise to heaven though after they die?
I suppose.
Yeah. So would you say that he's like a messenger of
Yeah,
God?
that's probably more like it. Yeah, he's probably more like a messenger. This is how you're supposed to live life
Yeah.
by being a good person
Mm-hmm.
and all
Okay.
that jazz.
So
But
you probably
then again, he suffered. I
did he actually? Because there's actually verses that say that he came back and he wanted to prove that he didn't die on the cross when he
oh
why would so if okay so the story is that he died on the cross and he rose after 3 days, is that correct?
yeah, but I think it's more
Okay.
of I think the Bible interpretation is just something to do with the stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So
the sun goes away for
why would a spirit come back in the flesh after 3 days if he died on the cross? So he died on the cross, but he came back. That doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't he just be rotting on the ground?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and would you say that him being a messenger is more believable than him being a eternal being?
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. You know, um, yeah. That's I'm glad that you're entertaining those thoughts. Um, uh, do you read the Bible often?
I haven't read in a while because it's full of contradictory words.
Okay. Can you think of a verse that's contradictory, or maybe summarize something that you read?
I haven't read it in a while. I can't even remember half of it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's cool. But yeah, that's very interesting. Um, hmm. Okay. Um, do you think that there was other messengers of God,
Yes.
and you think Jesus was one of them?
Yes.
There you go. Well, you're on your way to being Muslim, my friend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, let's talk about that. Yeah, I need to brush up on my theology as well. But it's kind of fascinating. Like, our law system is, if you read the Bible, it talks about like murder, and it talks about how to treat different types of murder. That's basically how our law system is set up. It's set up. It's the foundation of English common law. Is the word of the book when you read it, and yeah, it's very interesting. Um, yeah, that's very cool. Um, anything else you want to talk about?
I want to talk about teaching our kids to code before it's too late.
Teaching your kids to what?
Code before it's too late.
Oh, Yeah, you're into the coding, eh? Yeah.
Everything's run by computers nowadays. You gotta learn to code before you can do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But then again, they hide away all that stuff in the black box and don't know what's going on with the machines. And there's all these people trying to transcend humanity.
Mm-hmm. What
Teach your
what
kids.
what what things of coding would help, like what like practical things like you could do with coding skills?
Just like any other skills, like math or reading or writing,
Mm-hmm.
code is just as important.
Yeah, but what how can code apply to somebody's life?
Well,
Like could they like order pizza faster or something, or could they just have a faster computer or
they can. It's good for problem solving.
oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah,
Coming up with
definitely.
solutions for problems,
Mm-hmm.
breaking down problems into smaller steps.
Yeah, I see. Very
Critical
interesting.
thinking.
Critical thinking, indeed. Indeed. So it could transfer over to other things. Yeah. I mean, uh reading can also help too, right?
Oh yes,
Reading and yeah, yeah. And math. Yeah, math. I see what you mean by that. Um but yeah. I don't know what else I want to talk about. But have you ever considered like Islam at all as a religion?
no,
No?
no.
How come?
Of all the violence that I'm hearing on the, well, I guess I don't know.
There's the death penalty in the Bible too. It talks about like stoning witnesses that give false testimony to like a murder trial.
There's a
It
lot
talks
of
about
violence in
stoning
there.
women. There's a lot of violence in the Bible too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
So
they
is there
don't
a verse that
even.
you could take out of the Quran that you would say is violent?
I never read the Quran.
You never read the Quran? Okay, that's fine. Have you heard of the verse, chapter 2, verse 256 of the Quran, that there says there's no compulsion religion? Uh, there's a false conception that Islam is not for freedom of religion and that it'll oppress Christians and Jews. But if you actually read like the history of the Ottoman Empire, a lot of Jews and some Christians from denominations escaped to go to the Ottoman Empire, persecution during the medieval ages of Europe. I don't know if you knew
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah. I always say I prefer Sharia law over judicial law because Sharia law is there's less like there's less checks and balances, and there's more of a faith-based enforcement of of the rulings. And so, and there's also the punishments are more direct as well too. I mean, there was that in the Bible, but the thing is, like nowadays, it's just kind of been like secular, like the legal system's been secularized. So it talks about human rights, legal representation, trial before jury, judicial process, all that. And I view that as kind of a negative in that um, it's so complicated that people get like apathetic towards it, and also too nowadays we're so dependent upon the legal system to bring cohesion, like within the communities. But the communities don't necessarily police themselves anymore. They put all the onus on the courts um, to police community behavior, and everyone is absolving of themselves of the responsibility. And I view that as a negative as well too. As whereas in Sharia like courts, like Sharia law, it helps self police communities so that you won't need the court system at the least amount as possible. It seems like we're doing the opposite. We're like overrunning our court system nowadays over every little thing, and then it's very inefficient. And so if we go back to the basics and we have stricter punishments, more clear punishments, and bring back the death penalty, people would be less inclined to do antisocial behavior.
Yeah,
The
sure.
death penalty was in Canada until like the 1960s. I don't know if you knew that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. As well, like you have a 2-tier system too, and basically like the courts also they excuse like single women like behavior, like and there's also a lot of women in the court system too, but like women gain preference over men in divorce court, and it basically it discourages men from getting married. Like you would you say that you're single right now partly due because of the nature of the courts and how they basically, if you get married, you will and then you get a divorce, you would get your assets all taken away from you? Is that what discouraging you from getting married?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the concept of no fault divorce. I think that was most recently brought in too, because there used to be a time where you didn't have divorce, like you couldn't just divorce somebody on a whim. Like you had to have a logical reason. You can't say, "Oh, I didn't like the person anymore," right? Yeah, like till death to us part. But the to death to us part doesn't mean anything anymore, and a lot of people would not carry on with their responsibilities of because it used to be a responsibility to raise the next generation. Now it seems to have been eroded, and probably this is why we have all this like insanity right now, because there's no family cohesion or anything like that anymore. It's just all broken up. I think it's done on purpose. I actually do think it's done on purpose, is to break up the family, break up the community, divide the people up into different races and religions, and then conquer them all, send them, police them. Because I have a feeling that Canada is just going to be like a Soviet Russia state, like where you can't criticize government policies, and you'll go to jail for arbitrary reasons, and and no one will really fight for it. I just don't see it I see like for us like in the future, like I would get rid of like the term Canadian and just make up our own identity. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. Break away civilization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have our own legal system, have our own. So I think that's more than anything. That's what's ailing us, is our chance to advocate for ourselves, and the system won't allow that even. So it seems like they're actively wanting us to be dependent upon it. But by the will of God, we will triumph.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, is there any games that you like to play at all?
I like to play EVE Online.
What's that?
It's a space MMO. It's like a business MMO. You fly spaceships, mine, shoot. You can do almost anything you want.
Okay, it's like you can build spaceships.
Yes, everything is in there is player built.
Oh, cool. Right
It's
on.
free to play and pretty much you can play in-game premium with in-game money.
Mm-hmm. That's
Also
cool.
play Albion online. I play some other games too, but I'm mostly been playing Eve Online for now.
Yeah.
It's like a full-time job, that game.
What was the
Oh,
game
anyway,
I play? What was the name? It's like Insurgency Sandstorm.
that
Have you heard
sounds
of
like a
that?
first-person shooter.
What?
That sounds like a first-person shooter.
Yes, it is.
Certainly a lot of those around.
Yeah, played a lot of those. I played Halo when I was a kid, and I played Star Wars Racer as a kid. And yeah, that was pretty cool. I had the. Do you remember like the Nintendo 64 days?
Yes.
Yeah, I had one of those. I also had the Xbox, the first Xbox. I had
Do you remember
had
the
a
NES?
PlayStation for a little bit. What?
Do you remember the NES?
Any what?
NES, the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yes. No, I haven't.
Yeah, maybe you're too young for that.
Maybe. Yeah. Too young. Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I'm getting older, but anyway. Age creeps up on you a little bit. But yeah. Yeah. What's your thoughts on Donald Trump?
He's hiding. I think he may come back. Who knows? Can't rely on one man to save us all.
Right.
أراذيل ساموا رسول
Oh
أمن
boy, we got a troll.
قول الصواب ظالم فك الأراضي ساموا أهل العزائم ما لمسوا لي حمانا لو طوق.
This is beautiful. One of my fans. Oh boy. Anyway, so yeah, you're saying he one man can't finish can't do all the work?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Americans have like a really good identity. Like I think the Americans will be fine in the next century.
Oh, yeah. If they get Trump back in office, they may actually have a chance to save us all.
Yeah, I think Trump knows a lot more things than we are led on to believe. I think have you I know he did Operation Warp Speed where he wanted to get the vaccines really quickly, but now it's like it's controversial because like some of the vaccines like they cause people to die. Like I know a person who had died from the vaccine. Have you
Guys,
taken the
I'm going
vaccine at
to
all?
drop like flies here pretty soon.
Yeah. Have you taken the jab at all?
I'm not going to.
Oh, okay. Okay. I used to be like I used to have this like anybody who would take the jab I would be resentful, but now I'm just kind of yeah, like you just can't live your life resentful. You have to be forgiving sometimes. So there is something to the Christian method of being forgiving and merciful.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
thankful for that because I have like an anger, like it's just not sustainable. Like to be righteously angry all the time when you see so much injustice in the world. So I find practicing mercy and forgiving people, like if somebody is in the store and you don't have your mask over your nose and they tell you to put your mask over your nose, just tell them you forgive them. and it just turns the onus on them and just really puts a mirror on them and how much of a piece of a shit person that they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's like weakness, but it's not really. It's really not. It's actually, it's just how you function. It makes you functional, so you don't go crazy. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. I think I know who that was, but I like that music. You can come back on. I don't care. But anyway, it's just one of my fans.
That's all I have to take for tonight. I think that's been a good talk. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. I will wrap it up here, and thank you for your input, guys. Clayton, thank you for coming on. Actually, I want to maybe talk about something. I kind of have to learn how to talk by myself and keep the crowd entertained. And what I would like to talk about is there's actually a story. Britney Spears. I don't know if you've known. Britney Spears is under the conservatorship of her father, and she Britney's conservatorship. Let's see. So she just had a testimony here. So it actually came out that she was on IEDs and believe lithium. IEDs like prevent you how to have children, and basically she was saying that she didn't really have any say in the matter, and if she wanted to take these substances. And she's also wanting to counter sue the people who didn't speak up in her family against this, who didn't stand up for her. She also wants to sue them as well too in the matter, in the countersuit. So it's kind of complicated in that she's claiming a lot of things. It's just like she's claiming like mental abuse and physical abuse in terms of coercing, like taking medication that she wasn't supposed to, and her problem with her family not speaking up. And that's a thing too. I find a problem in that too. People who don't speak up when there's something wrong, and that's an issue that that needs to be punished as well. And I think there's definitely ways that in the justice system that you can apply for that as well. So anyway, let's just screen share and we will read Britney Spears, because I'm a huge Britney fan, and I really want to show you guys. So why does Britney Spears have conservatorship? Free Britney movement explained as her father keeps control. Oh boy, what is this? So basically, a judge has denied Britney Spears' request to remove her father from his role overseeing her conservatorship. A court filing reveals. The singer's lawyer, Samuel Ingram, asked a court in Los Angeles to oust Jamie Spears from his position managing the multi-million-dollar estate. Britney was placed under the complex legal agreement usually reserved for the very old and infirm. So I showed you the what was it, that video, the last video I did of that Britney Spears of the organization that's in charge of conservatorship. So this is usually reserved for older people. and there's a claim of mental breakdowns. But the thing is, when we went through that CRM, I think it is, organization, it didn't say anything about mental breakdowns. And I feel like, in the conservatorship definition of the program, it didn't say anything about mental breakdowns. It could just say someone who feels like they've been exploited. So the way I interpret that, is that, if someone gets scammed, gets fooled, gets underhanded by somebody, stuff like that, cheated. Um, your uncle can say, "Oh, this guy got cheated. He can't handle his own finances. He needs to go under conservatorship." So the term conservatorship is very arbitrary to begin with, and kind of leaves room for exploitation. And I think this is how Britney Spears got into this situation to begin with, because the arbitrariness of the law, and its original intent was for the very old. But they're claiming that she suffered from mental breakdowns, but she's claiming that she had those breakdowns because of her mental and physical abuse. So the onus is like, is she guilty because she reacted rationally to the mental and physical abuse? So does that mean she's justified under this under even more control? Because when you physically want to mentally or physically abuse somebody, it's usually you want control over them. So because she was in a series of mental breakdowns from this physical and mental abuse, we're going to exacerbate the situation by controlling her even more and controlling every aspect of her life. It just seems like problem. So the problem was they forced her on these drugs. They mentally abused her, physically abused her. Reaction, she reacted to the abuse by lashing out or whatever. And then solution, conservatorship, we own all your assets. She owns nothing, and she's going to be happy about it. So kind of wrap your head around that. It's kind of like how, if you put this in a micro scale, and you could say whatever you want about Britney. I actually like some of her songs, and Paleo was on here. He likes some of her songs too, but you don't have to like any of her songs to really kind of wrap your head around what's going on in this legal matter and how it pertains on a macro level. I like breaking things down like this. And it's very concerning to me that they can just use the law like this, and you can just control people on a whim, yeah. So I'm just gonna keep. So that was my long iteration of this, but I'll keep reading from here. So, but she told a court on June 23rd that the conservatorship was abusive and that she wanted it to end without the need for medical assessment. She said she has been forced to work against her will and that the conservatorship stopped her from removing a contraceptive device. So that's what I was talking about, the IED, I believe, in order to try for another child. Here's everything you know about the Free Britney saga. What is a conservatorship? A conservatorship is granted by a court for individuals who are unable to make their own decisions, such as those with dementia or other mental illnesses. In the case of Britney Spears, she has had a public breakdown in the late 2000s Most infamous, she shaved her head, but was also seen driving with her son on her lap, hitting a photographer's car with an umbrella, and went through a phase of speaking with a British accent. In January 2008, she was committed to a psychiatric ward under a 5150 hold, meaning she was taken in voluntarily for evaluation. When she was committed a second time, her father, Jamie Spears, petitioned the Los Angeles County Superior Court to put her under temporary conservatorship as an emergency, except it was made permanent. This, you're seeing kind of a pattern here. Temporary. It's only supposed to be temporary, guys. We're only going to go to Afghanistan, for until we find weapons of mass destruction. Or, it's only going to be 2 weeks till we flatten a curve. It's just temporary, guys. Just temporary. You remember that. As emergency, except it was made permanent. Well, how about that, eh? Brittany's conservatorship is split into two parts. One is for her state and financial affairs. The other is for her as a person. So not only her estate and financial, but also her individual body, which is insane. Under this legal agreement, she has not controlled her finances since 2008. Jamie Spears was initially in charge of both parts of the conservatorship, but she stepped down as daughter's personal conservator in 2019 because of health reasons. Jody Montgomery, a care professional, replaced him on a temporary bias, but Britney Spears requested this be made permanent. John Montgomery, a care professional, replaced him on a temporary bias, but Britney Spears requested to make this made it permanent. Interesting. What is the Free Britney? The fan site Free Britney campaign in 2009 as a response to conservatorship, Julia Jacobs reported in the New York Times. Yeah. So he said that she was forced to go in a mental health facility. Of a singer. 3 weeks after scheduled check-in, she wrote Instagram, "Don't believe everything you read in here." Interesting. Lynn Spears, who divorced Jamie, legal motion 2009 to be involved in the conservatorship process. This is her mother. She was also spotted liking comments about the Free Britney movement. I wonder if she divorced him for this. That's interesting. In July 2020, the Free Britney movement was in the limelight again as supporters of Britney Spears gathered outside a courthouse in downtown for Free Britney protests as a hearing regarding her conservatorship was in session. In September, Britney's attorney filed a request to open her future court hearings to the public, suggesting that she supports the Free Britney movement. But at the end of 2020, her conservatorship was extended for the fourth time. On February 5th, the New York Times released a Hulu documentary titled "Framing Britney Spears," highlighting the star's conservatorship and court battle with her father. It was received with widespread attention, reigniting the Free Britney movement. Okay, so that's just basically a summary of the Free Britney movement. We'll stop there. And I'll have this here. So yeah, my thoughts. you know, I think I parsed it out pretty good, and I wanted to make sure. But it's always what court rejects habeas corpus? A dictatorial one. What do you mean by the dictatorial? I wouldn't say dictatorial. Maybe two-tier justice system. One law for thee, another for me. But I don't see that. It's really hard to like kind of parse that out a little bit. There's some things like there's some cases that I read that uh, that you can put out like the biases. You can see the leniency in the sentencing when it comes to Trump's investigators. When it about the Russian collusion, how they use nunc pro tunc as a justification for um, you know having a lesser sentence, and supposedly claiming that who was it? It was somebody who was investigating Trump for Russian collusion, and um, it was on August 20th that he 2020 that he stopped. He wasn't able to stop practicing law, and he, uh, he was just found guilty. But the thing was, he wasn't found guilty on August 20th, 2020. But now he's claiming that he was under that he couldn't practice law, and that somehow it was a plea bargain, a guilty plea, and that he was acting in good faith, even though he was suspended 2 weeks in September. It was just one of the FBI investigators. He was suspended for 2 weeks for anti-Trump texts, and the judge was claiming that he was acting in good faith. Magnetism. If you want to come on, you want to explain yourself, that'd be great. So I have this platform. I have the stream here. Just click on the stream, click on the link, and maybe you can explain yourself. You don't have to use your real name or anything like that. I don't care. But that's why I have this platform. You can explain yourself a little bit more, other than because I know in the chat you only have so many characters that you can what you can use. But yeah, like a dictatorial one, I don't know, because the thing is, they cited like escalational pattern of accusations against him as a justification for denying the writ of habeas corpus. And the Court of Queen's Bench judge did recognize the supremacy of God, and then that there is a balance between rights and freedoms, and that usually when someone has so many accusations against them, the onus is on them to prove that they won't be able to be accused of that crime again. From what I believe, so I feel that was an inevitability anyway. When you literally interpret the Magna Carta and you internalize it, this was an inevitability anyway. And so this idea that there's these other charges like hate speech and, oh my God, we didn't know that. No, like, come on, like the old hate speech is not necessarily an excuse, really. I think what it is that if you act in accordance to God's will within the Magna Carta, and you even follow through all the procedures, someone will view you as, it's basically a war on the government, and they're just like, this guy is causing a ruckus in the public sphere, so we have to keep him detained for a little bit, and that's basically their excuse. Their excuse for denying us religious liberties. So we'll see how it goes in the court, and Yeah, magnetism. Come on, and you make some good points in the chat, man. Maybe you can expound on your legal knowledge here, and then maybe you can have a little bit of a dialogue. But so Habeas Corpus asks for the just production of the individual to confirm his current state, mental and physical. I don't think this should be a problem. Well, you do have a point there, and he did have a mental assessment, and he was deemed mentally sound. Um, so is that he? I don't know if you're aware of magnetism, but he did have a mental assessment, and I can bring up that article here, and I will there. So he has had a mental assessment here. So mental health treatment not necessary for Travis Patron, court hears. So this is his mental assessment here. And this is the provincial court that is overseeing the matters here. And so it's not indicating any treatment is necessary. Judge Lane Wiggers, Crown Prosecutor Andrew Campbell of the report's finding. So is that what you mean? That's the purpose of the, because that's something different, right? When you're a mental assessment, because he had his application. Now, if you look at, from what I understand, he just looked at the nature of the charges and said that there was an escalating pattern in the last article that I read, and I don't necessarily see, like, I can see how he would say that, but it just seems like he's ignoring the Magna Carta, clause 61, because he only mentions the Canadian Constitution. Here, I'll show you here. Because he does recognize it, right? I'm not saying I'm defending him. I'm just trying to be objective as possible. And I know there's some party members on here that are just, diehards, but just try not to be, when you're doing legal, try to be as objective as possible. Try as much as possible, put away the personal circumstances and be as objective as possible, and read it on that lens. I think that'll really help you, and that'll really get you a long way. Even in a two-tier justice system, because in a two-tier justice system, if your arguments are sound, they have no other choice but to admit it's political bias, right? And then that they're committing treason, right? They're not, right? So so make sure you're on top of it. I mean, I have to hit the books too. I'm no expert either, but I kind of blown off a little bit, but I need to get back to the books. And but there's a lot to digest here, so it's good to talk about and good to have a stream about. So I mean, anybody's welcome on to discuss these matters. I will join in, but I do not wish to give. Okay, magnetism. All right, but so let's see here. So make sure this is the right one. June. Oh, that one was. Okay, we can go over this one. So they do recognize that his rights and religious freedoms have been infringed, and argued his custody on numerous charges is improper. Interesting words. Claiming lack of jurisdiction by the Crown and a breach of his religious freedoms, the federal leader of the Canadian Nationalist Party argued before a judge his decision is unlawful. Referring to himself as he is in the past, in the third and often plural person, Travis Patron argued Tuesday before court at Queen's Bench. Justice Neil Robertson, the court detention is arbitrary and unlawful, and therefore the accused must be released from custody without delay. We have reason to believe Her Majesty the Queen does not have personal jurisdiction over the accused required to proceed on these matters. Even though he lost, arguing the Crown is wrong. Oh, okay, so this is the reverse onus. So because he has multiple charges, this is the reverse onus is for somebody to prove that they won't reoffend or be accused of a reoffense, and reverse onus. Let's look up that definition. Reverse onus. Hey, Magnetism, did you see a lot of Canadian flags where you were? I didn't see any. And I talked to somebody, and they're like, yeah, didn't you hear? Like, they canceled Canada Day. I just thought, I made a couple of videos on my channel, but yeah, it was quite... It was... I just say we could just rename it Clown Day and just have, like, petition for clown, like, to, for people to have, like, circus theme decoration in their front lawn and wear wigs and clown noses as on July 1st. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about Clown Day? Is there any other creative names you can rename Canada Day? Because obviously it's canceled, so you need to rename it. I like Clown Day. But yeah, in the chat, give your ideas. So okay. So reverse onus provision under section 515. You guys are learning a lot today. Me too. I'm going to learn a lot too. Unless the accused, having been given a reasonable opportunity to do so, shows cause why the accused detention, so accused, not convicted, accused, very important, detention in custody is not justified. The justice shall order, despite any provision of this section, that the accused be detained in custody until the accused is dealt with according to law if the accused is charged with an indictable offense other than the offense listed in section 469 that is alleged to have been committed while at large after being released in respect of another indictable offense pursuant of the provisions of this part or section 679, that this offense so serious offense. So a serious offense, what would be? I think that would be like assault or something like that. It would be a serious offense. Like something that's like 5 to 10 years, I believe. This is what I'm talking about here. He didn't do that. So that's like one is serious, but he didn't commit a serious offense. The thing is he had multiple. So he was charged with mischief on March 28th, and then he broke and enter on March 28th. So they're 10 days apart, and that was mischief is an indictable offense, and then he made another indictable offense, and so it doesn't necessarily mean that he's guilty. It just means that he's just been accused, And according to this, yeah, like if you accuse an indictable offense, you commit an indictable offense, the reverse onus is on you to justify. Because he had mischief, then they couldn't detain him, right? Because of this one indictable offense, right? And then he made another one, so now he has to. The reverse sentence is on him, you know. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're corrupt or anything like that. I don't think that a lot of people, you know, have their bias. Um, uh, American stupidity. Meg says, what do you mean by American stupidity? Even when guilty, he must be produced before people. Well, no, he's not guilty. First, before. Are you talking about jury duty or jury trial? You're talking about jury trial, yeah. That's something. I mean, it does actually on the article. It does say that the body needs to be produced before the court. It's like an ancient remedy, right? It's coming upon the crown to justify beyond a reasonable doubt of the detention of the accused. I mean, law is getting complicated, but I mean, yeah, that's a basic onus of it. Guilty. I think you're talking about something different when you're talking about even when guilty. He's not guilty. I'm talking about accused, like reverse onus is accusal, accusations, right? Anyway, I will continue on the reverse onus here. With an indictable offense, other than offenses in section 469, is not an ordinary resident in Canada, with an offense in commission of which violence was allegedly used, threatened, or attempted against their partner, and the accused has been previously convicted. Okay, so this is like if you act up in jail and all that. With having committed an offense punishable by imprisonment for life under any serious sections 5 to 7 of the Controlled Drugs Substance, the offense conspiring to commit such an offense. Oh, okay. Release order. If an accused, whom Section 6 reverse onus offenses applies, shows cause why their detention and custody is not justified, the justice shall make a release order under the section if the accused was already at large on a release order. The new release order may include any additional conditions described in Section 4 to Section 4.2 that the justice considers desirable. Okay. And was already at large on a release order. So that's if you haven't been charged yet, I believe. So if you haven't been charged, so maybe I'm misreading this, but if you haven't been charged yet for the offense and you commit another one, that doesn't make any sense. So wait, justice shall make a release order under the section if the accused is already at large. Oh, I see. So if they have like a warrant for their arrest. Okay. Right. They have a warrant for their arrest and they get arrested. Right. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. So if they have a warrant for their arrest, they've already been at large. That's what they're saying. Then a release order can be commanded. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't say multiple offenses, just if you're already at large. Oh boy. Despite subsection 9, if the justice orders that the accused be detained in custody primarily because of previous conviction of the accused, the justice shall state that reason in writing in the record. Detained in custody primarily because of previous conviction of the accused. Shall. Okay, so if he's accused, state that reason in writing record. Okay. So they have a definition of serious offense means an indictable offense under this or any other act of Parliament for which the maximum punishment is imprisonment for. Oh, okay, so I was right. 5 or more years. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Term extended. Keeping a common gaming or betting house. Okay, so this is serious offenses. Betting, pool selling, and bookmaking, committing offenses in relation to the lotteries and games of chance, cheating while playing a game or holding the stakes for a game or in betting, and keeping a common body house. What does that mean? Does anyone know what that word means? Body? I'll look it up. These clown days. Critical race theory, LGBTQ rights, all their current discourse is stupid. Amen, brother. Amen. Okay. But anyway. Common body. I'm going to look that up. I'm looking that up right now. Hang on. Let me do this. Body house. Body house. Definition. Sex workers. Bill C-66. Okay, so it's just basically I just send a body house law on the basis law infringe on your right to life, liberty, and security of person under Section 7. Okay, so actually, you know what? Canadian prostitution law is a little bit different in that, I do remember reading this. Canadian prostitution law in that you can, under your charter rights and freedoms, you are protected as a sex worker, but you can't operate like a body house or a whorehouse or whatever you want to call it. They call it body house. It's interesting. Or you can't have a John. You can't have a third person. Basically, is also the law also says too. But there can be a transaction between the customer and the sex worker, but there can't be any intermediaries or any physical structure that is explicitly for selling sex. It's quite interesting. Quite an interesting loophole for you guys to know about Canadian law. I don't know. Are Americans funny? Are Americans effeminate and too sensitive? I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that all of them are like that. Oh, Canadians are really bad. I don't know. It's just like Canada seems like it's way worse. I understand that people say America's bad, but Canada is like another level of insanity, stupidity, malice. But anyway, I hope you guys learned a lot today, and some people dropping in. Appreciate you all for contributing to the show. We talked about Travis Patron. We talked about Britney Spears. We talked about some other topics, some religion. Hopefully you got Clayton to maybe open his mind that Jesus is not the co-equal to God. I think he's kind of considering it a little bit. So Alhamdulillah, God willing, he finds the true din, and we go to the room one person at a time. All right, I will head out, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.